what is the right room. And I'd like to thank Douglas, our host father, and Sam Aaron, because I would have no content in this presentation without both of them, right? It's just all the content of this presentation is stolen right from them. So, God Bach. God Bach is a fascinating book. Who here has read God Bach? Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you so much if you listen. Okay. Donc, in the beginning of the book, there is a little passage that got my attention. It was the reason why I created this presentation, really. At some point, it talks about the musical offering. So, for those who haven't heard it, the musical offering was an offering by Bach to the Prince of Austria, and it contained a very interesting. It contains several canons and several different musical puzzles, but it contains a very specific one that. So that was unexpected. Oh yeah. So no, this is not my. Oh, that was bon. Which is this? Oh, thank you. Yeah, should be working, right? So, what is interesting about the canon per tonus is that it gives an illusion of being always getting a tone up and up and up and up and going always upwards infinitely. It's a complete illusion, of course, that's impossible. But what is more interesting about the canon per tonus is that it does a strange loop. It does a recursion. There are several music that does recursions, right? There are several canons that do recursions. You have. I'll stop this. You have Pachelbel's canon. You have several other canons that do recursions. What is specific about the canon per tonus is that at each iteration of the canon, it starts a note higher, and then after several iterations, it comes back to the start again. Now, you gotta let me go with this, but I think that Bach knew about recursions from the moment he did that. You cannot really create that sort of structure and not know the existence of recursions or not know the structure of recursions. There is a whole debate that I will not enter, which when has the recursion started? There are several people that talk about Plato. I'm amongst the people that think that the creator of the modern recursions is Pino with the induction method. But Bach, if he used recursions on that specific music in that specific way, if he used strange loops, this is something that kept going on, and he turned from the start. He knew about the structure of it, right? He knew the mechanism. He knew how to use it, how to exploit it. So that got me thinking. Bach did this in 1747, and Pino did this in the 19th century, which brings my open question to this presentation, which is, what else can we steal from the musicians? And I won't lie to you. I kind of empty-handed. I search a lot, and it's kind of a lifelong journey. I mean, you discover music is a real profession. You discover as soon as you start digging into it, you discover more and more complexity. The domain is a very complex business domain. It's a very good opportunity to try your chops with computer science, trying to modelize the musical domain. But I got there with that impression that I could just try, like any other domain, just try to grok it, like I do with my clients, like in finance or other things, just trying to grok this and find the essence of modeling this thing. And I was completely wrong. I have no idea what led me to believe that was possible. Anyway, I have discovered several little things during that course, during the travel, and I try to partake with the best I can with people. So, when I started this journey, I knew nothing about music. Who here know a little bit of music theory, or a lot? Oh my God, I did. All right. I started this without knowing nothing about music theory, nothing, entirely nothing. So I learned the basics of rhythm, melody, and harmony during the last year while creating this talk, which is what I was going to partake with you. So this is rhythm. Kind of monotonic rhythm, right? But a rhythm nonetheless. What am I doing here? Is just creating a melody which is with notes, which is always the same note, and measures always the same measure, just a repetition of the same note with the same pitch, length, and intensity. But I'm modelizing notes as tuples of pitch, measures, and intensity. So one quarter is a quarter note, right? Is a crochet in French. I don't know how to tell that in English. And what this is doing is just maintaining the rhythm. And here, I just changing intensities. Which creates the exact same pattern, but changes the intensities from one to another, right? Thing is, I try to model this thing. My biggest problem was the intensity in the beginning. I had no idea. The first version of this talk, I had no idea that was a problem. But rhythm is not only intensity, like we show here. It's just keeping the same note. I'm just repeating the same note. It's just do, C, continuing. Yet, with just changing of intensity and a change of measure, I have a very different sound. And if you were to make it very short, my computer would not be able to do this, but if we were to make it very, 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 very short, you will end up turning rhythm into melody. A note is just a very, very, very quick rhythm. There is only rhythm in music. Everything else is just a multiplication of it over itself. Is a big, enormous, strange loop. In almost the same way that in computer science, you can boil everything down to reducers and recreate everything down to reducers. You can recreate in music everything down to rhythm. Well, I changed notations here, but what I did was just recreate the same structure again, again. I just creating data that turns itself into that other data here. It's nothing else. There's a very important point later in the presentation. It's nothing else. I'm just describing music on top of descriptions of music. And rhythm is recursive upwards. So we have a metric. Do you people know how to read a partition? No? Maybe? A little? When you separate your music into bars, which are an assembly of matters, the bars themselves can be matters. So you have the idea of hypermatter. It's easier to understand while listening to it, really. Here I have the same sound that I had just before. Here and apply an hypermeter to it. You keep the same distances between sounds. But from one bar to another, you change the elevation of sounds between bars. And you create the same distance you were creating between two notes, between two bars. And you can pile and pile and pile that over again. You can start recreating the structure of rhythm in a recursive way upwards and in a recursive way downwards. It just applies it to itself and it uses itself as a pattern to itself. It feeds on itself. That's complex to understand in the beginning. What I mean is, if I try to take a simpler example, you end up just doing a multiplication of rhythm per rhythm per rhythm per rhythm. And once you start getting sounds to really short-term lengths, you start to get those distortions. You can create the sound of a battery through the white noise. You can create any instrument by compositions and compositions and compositions and compositions of the same basic structure of sound, just by using a single sinusoidal sound here. Just by creating a rhythm pattern, I started creating a sound of a battery little by little. So that's the major complexity when creating music, is that it's not really typable. The nature of things is not really fixed. As soon as you start distorting things towards some limit, you start to get other results. You start transformation rhythm into metrics into melody, different melodies into different instruments. Everything starts getting a bigger ball of mud together. Much like our legacy code base, right? I mean, it's just that I don't see a way to perfectly handle this. We have several ways to combat our legacy into enterprise systems. We created ways to handle this, to fight this complexity. But here, what I find amazing about this is that is an essential complexity. The problem here is inherent to the domain. You cannot do away with it. You have something that feeds on itself, that has a compound complexity, and that compound complexity is part of the domain itself. There is no perfect solution to this. I have no idea where to put this one down. By shifting the measures we use, I mean, into I have prepared some images before, and then I can't find my well. That's not what I was looking for. Yeah. So you usually will see in partitions those symbols here for the people that do not know how to read the partition, right? Those symbols represent how many bits you have into a bar and what is the size of those bits. So, like I put before, when I created those volumes here, I created bits that are stronger than other bits, right? And I'm assigning those those values here to the different bits inside that bar. And the thing about time signatures is that they are changeable. Maybe another instrument. Oh. Do you perceive the difference at the end of the bar? Well, just taking rhythms get very boring quickly, even if everything is made off of it. It's like in real life. You can do everything with reducers, but just piling reducers one of the top on another gets boring quickly. You kind of need to change things in your life. Let's talk about melody. I feel old. No, people here are older than me here. Like. Right. So what I did is just put the pitches, but put the notes that I wanted here. There's not really astounding or anything. But the thing is, if we want to get the fun of it, we want to understand scales. Every instrument has its own scales, which means every instrument has a limitation of what notes it will play. And you can play a melody in a given scale. I don't suppose you have heard this. Well, no, this will take time. I cannot do this in program. I cannot program this yet. I will someday, but I cannot yet. You see that he puts a key and a scale to this composition. Every composition can be modulated into other scales. The structure of the music remains the same. If I ask you, which is this note, or where here is do or C, are you able to find here in the partition? pick up this. Thing is, when we draw a partition, the key here is there to tell us what node is, sorry, to each of the branches here, what node is attached there. What I'm doing here is exactly the same. What I created here with this notation is just recreating the partition, nothing else. There's nothing particularly exciting or strange about this. I just put in another key into the partition. And you kind of, even if it changes a lot, you can kind of still see the melody there. The basic structure is there yet. And just by changing it, I change intervals. Sorry?
Enigmatic. Is enigmatic a technical term?
Is the name of the scale. I don't choose the names; they are named. Is one of the several existing scales, like Dorian or Todi. I never heard about Todi before. What I'm doing here is just recalculating every node and modulating them in a new partition. What I'm not showing here is that to do this, I use minikaren. I cheat a lot, but was not the point of the presentation. Thing is, I regenerating the melody on the fly by deciding what should be the pitches. Oh, sorry. Oh, damn it. I should have not done that. That was stupid. That was stupid. Okay. Yes, well, thank you. Sorry. That was an infinite melody that I tried stupidly to show here, and nobody should never do this, right? This is better. So this is the melody before. And this is after. It's just a remapping on the fly, but there are a huge number of possible mappings. I could not just put them in memory or do something like this. The number of possible keys and possible scales is gigantic, so I have to improvise. With regards to harmony, harmony is the most powerful and most difficult to understand part for me, at least. I don't know if some people here are really good in harmony. I want to discuss with them later. But harmony is changes your perception of time. When you put things put things in harmony, your perception of the rhythm and of the melody changes. Oh, that was awful.
Perception definitely changed.
Yeah, right? And maybe we're getting tired. This will be even worse. I've just saying before, so you can cover your ears. Maybe getting tired of the same melody over and over and over again. Then I'll try to just generate a random one. That's not the worst completely random one that I had. You know, I feel cheated because I was expecting something that would just destroy my ears, like maybe this. That's more like it. That's more like it. Now, that's Haydn harmonic. You taking random notes will not help me, because I'm just taking random notes at all possible notes ever, right? If I really want to have a composition that get the notes in from a good place, I should try to remain my scale. So what is a scale? A scale is a limitation, right? I'm just picking notes and say, don't use only those notes. And by constraining which notes I can take, I can free my little musician here to be more awesome, to free itself towards creating more random things, because it is inside a safe, known space of action. That's better than the sound I just made before. Right, the one. If you don't believe me, oh, I can return there, right? In both cases, I created random sounds. But here I'm improvising inside a limited scale where the number of harmonies is highly elevated and the probability of doing something awful is lower. Thing is, I do this by creating holes, right? In overtone, they called it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the number of Romeos, I just put them into mini carving as holes and try to fill them. But well, the idea is the same. Okay, volume can be improved. I did not expect to have this much power. I was naive. But the process remains the same. I'm creating a constraint-free creativity. This is not what I wanted to talk about. What I want to talk about today is not the music itself, because, like I said in the beginning, that's a lifelong thing. It's about this. Maybe not do the infinite thing 2 times in a row, right? Yeah, that was stupid. It's about this. Or not. I will not try to understand why. Okay. I have a problem. Yeah, more like that. It's about this. My main point today, that I try to bring today in this discussion with few people, is one of the points in the beginning of the jab, where he talked about isomorphisms. And specifically, the Holy Jab says isomorphisms induce meaning. Let's try to crack that one together. Let's do it. Let's do it this. What is an isomorphism? Please don't say GS in the back in both server side and client side. This is not the talk. I don't have anything about the misusing of names. You do you. But this is not what we want to talk about today. Anyone?
Is it a transformation into something that's like somehow parallelly the same?
Kind of.
It's a transformation that perceives structure.
Yeah, it's a transformation that perceives structure. The book gives a huge plethora of examples, but I'll try to cover a few. The whole idea is you're creating something that you can take from being the same structure, the same behavior as something else, a model, a formal model, that you can understand something else through the lens of it, right? I'm being very crude. I'm really ashamed because there are academicians in here that have probably way better definitions for this, but I'll keep that one for the moment. The whole idea is that once you see an isomorphism, you cannot help but see a meaning. That's not a choice. You grab it by it. The example that I like a lot that it gives into the book is he creates a series of dashes, an operator, and another series of dashers, and another operator, and another series of dashes. What does this mean?
Missing a Q.
Oh my God.
No, that's the joke.
So, what does this mean? It creates a typographical system, right? And creates an isomorphism between those systems and something else that we understand ourselves. And in this case here, we could understand this by being the operation sum. 3 plus 2 equals 5. Or 2 plus 1 equals 3. And that would be one kind of isomorphism. As soon as you get this, we start judging this operation like it was the sum. The example he gives in the book, and I like a lot, is that maybe it's just the subtraction. There is no reason to believe that this operation here obeys all the laws that the sum does. We do not have enough details here. We do not know if we be able to have a commutativity or something like this here, right? But we cannot help but see it anyway. As soon as we understand that this means a sum, then this means a sum, right? And this is a really powerful thing in software. I mean, in general, but a powerful thing in software. You create a lot of those models that try to create a structure and represent the structure of your life inside it. And one of the biggest problems I encounter every day, I don't know if it is the case for you people, but for me, is people to try to represent the entire reality into the domain model. I see it a lot. And another problem, much more frequent and much more pernicious that I see, is that once you put it in your mind that an object or a function, etc., means a thing, you attach it to the real world version of that thing and not for the code itself. And that's a common problem. We cannot help but do it because we have a mechanical way of thinking, but we also have a intuitive way of thinking. And our intuitive way of thinking will get in the way of our mechanical way of thinking. And that's normal. That helps us a lot, but it also creates a lot of problems. Lots of people think this image is about nitpicking, right? Ceci n'est pas une pipe, René Magritte, which he denounces the fact that this image is not a pipe, and it is an image of a pipe, the treasure of art, and the treasury of art. And we are inside this every day. Which brings me to the question. Have I written music today?
Code to make music?
Sorry?
You wrote code to make music?
I wrote code to make music. Yeah, that's, I mean, was it music?
Turn it into music.
That's a common issue. I have no closed answer to this. I have no closed answer to this. A discussion I had a lot while trying to learn to do those things was is this a program that represents the music? Is this a notation that represents the music? Is this an instrument?
Why not all those things?
Yes, but which one? That's an easy way out, man. There's a very easy way out. Thing is, what I really like about Lisp, and I miss a lot. I love Haskell. I really do. But I end up always missing homoeconicity and as expressions. I mean, that's it. I always miss that. Is that ambiguity? As soon as I created this melody, I can reattach at will another function to the symbol. The symbol that is just describing a data structure, and if nothing else, a very dynamic data structure. This thing here, I ascribe the meaning of a melody to it, and you all ascribe the meaning of a melody to it. And when I recreate it, transforming it into a series of notes, you ascribe the meaning of a partition to it. But if I rechange the symbols in it, without changing anything that I have created, I now have a way of drawing this, or printing it, or sending it over the network, or doing anything else. Isomorphism induces meaning, and homoeconicity opens a way to change my mind about the meaning of the isomorphisms I have in front of me. Oh, damn it. I should have spent less time, though. Okay. and the thing is, too bad. The thing is, as soon as I've done that, I now agree with you. I mean, for me, it still remains open, whether this is an instrument or music. Does this work if I do not put a human behind it in some way or another? That's, for me, that's an open question. But for all the other ideas I proposed, if I have created music or an instrument or a program generator, I do not believe that the divide between a program generator, I do not believe that a program generator can replace a human being, and I do not believe that meaning generator, was used extensively here, can replace a human being behind this. So I do not believe that this is completely a music. I still had to create the rules that gave me those results. So the dynamics are way more near an instrument, but that's open. What I do believe, though, is that for everything else, I can choose a meaning. And that's my point of it. And how should I do a lightning talk tonight? And thanks to you, folks. Tomorrow night? No, it's tonight. I mean, they say they changed. I don't know.
We moved it from after lunch to evening tomorrow,
Yeah,
but it was always
yeah, it's
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you.